Alright, now I'm going to tell you a story about my poker game last night. It's a pretty great back and forth story. So, the hand on your left, this one right here, will represent my opponent's hand, and this will represent my hand. That will be the case throughout the whole thing. This is pretty amazing, this back and forth. I think you're really going to enjoy this. So, as you can see, this flop was a pretty good flop for me. I've got ace-jack. I bet it pretty big, and I get a nice little amount of money in the pot. And my opponent with the 4-5 of diamonds calls, and then the turn comes, and this kind of thing happens. You know, he got a wheel on the turn. So he won that hand. I did not go bust, but I lost a lot of money. The next hand came along. Mind you, we were in a 10-handed game, but this is against the same opponent every time. Okay, so he and I just kept locking horns, and yeah, this is a pretty crazy back and forth, I tell you. Okay, so once again, the hand on the left represents my opponent. That represents my hand. Flop comes. I've got top pair, top kicker. Of course, he's got top pair with a decent kicker. And I bet pretty big, actually. And he calls me to the point where I'm now pot committed because I'm pretty much short stacked. Then the turn comes. I go all in here because I'm first to act, and I'm short stacked, and I have to win this pot, basically. And too bad for me. He now has two pair with a nice little 2-outer on the turn. 3-outer, rather, on the turn. But it gets better, people. It gets really good. So this is the next hand. This is representing his hand. He has pocket sevens. I've got ace-8. He doesn't bet too big. I feel like playing. I think I'm in position, so I play this ace-8. And it looks really well for me on the flop, as you can see here. We got an 8-6-2 on the flop. I go all in on the flop because I have top pair, top kicker. And he calls me with his pocket sevens. So he is in bad shape here. And so what happens? I'm about to double up, huh? The 10 comes on the turn. Oh, too bad for me. The 7 comes on the river, making him trip sevens. So I'm bust again. I rebuy back in again. And now let's go to this hand, because this is a really, really fun hand right here. This is the good one. Okay, so this is representing my opponent's hand. This will be representing mine. And I'll show you his cards at the end, because this hand is pretty interesting. As you can see, I flop a straight flush. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of diamonds. I check it because I'm feeling like, oh, I forgot to tell you. He announces, the same person out of the 10 players that I keep locking horns with, announces that this will be his last hand of the night. So I flop a straight flush, and I check it, and I think maybe, just maybe, I'll have an opportunity to double up through Ron, who has been just destroying me tonight, before he goes. But I'm thinking, most likely I'm going to check this down to the end, and I'm not going to make much money. But then a great card comes on the turn for me. 7. So now, if he has a 7, I'm in really, really good shape. Because he's not going to want to get away from those 7s, and I've got a straight flush. So I check again, and he bets. And I'm thinking, great, he's got something, I hope he does. And I end up calling him, okay? Then we get the river card. I could not have asked for a better card. I've got 2 6s on the board and 2 7s on the board. So if he has a 6 or a 7, he's got a full house, and there's no way he can get away from this hand. Finally, I'm going to get my revenge. This is why this is such a great back and forth. So I actually decide to go all in because I know he has something. I think he might have bet, actually, and then I raised him all in. And of course, I immediately flip it over and say, okay, I've got the straight flush. And what does he flip over? The top of the straight flush. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of diamonds. He had it on the flop, and I had it on the flop. My roommate, a UCLA doctorate researcher, and I were doing the probability odds of these 4 hands happening this way on the same night with the 2 same players sitting at a table where 10 people are playing. The probabilities are like that of winning the lottery. So I won the lottery tonight, except it was the negative lottery. Anyway, I mother effing hate poker. And if poker were a person, I would have cut his head off tonight.